Mechanical equipment, both large and small, make up a significant portion of the job activities. This, coupled with material handling, are what get the job done, but also can pose some of the most serious hazards on a tunneling project. In addition to the loki, segment erector, conveyor system, and cranes that may be on site, there are also other pieces of equipment that are required. These may be large air compressors, mini batch plants, scaffolding, high-pressure spray equipment, concrete trucks, and shotcrete equipment. Mechanical systems such as ventilation, piping, and electrical must also be installed at the beginning of the project and continuously throughout as the work progresses. The areas around these operations are very tight and can be quite hazardous. It is important that everyone working in these areas pays special attention to the activities going on around them. The conveyor is the equipment that moves excavated material out of the tunnel. Generally, there are two different types of conveyor systems used. They are screw-driven conveyors or belt-driven conveyors. When erected, conveyors have elevated walking decks. Depending on where the conveyor is placed, it is important to make sure there are proper barricades to ensure workers stay clear of the moving parts and belts. In the event of an emergency, there are pull cords that run beneath the conveyor belt for emergency stops. If the cord is pulled because of equipment failure or worker injury, it will be required to use lockout-tagout procedures to ensure against accidental startup. Additionally, lockout-tagout will be used in the case of maintenance operations. Never ride the conveyor belt, as this could lead to serious injury or death. Only place excavated material on the conveyor belt. Never place general garbage, tools, or equipment on the conveyor. The loki is essentially a small locomotive used to bring equipment, materials, and personnel into and out of the tunnel area to the main shaft. The lokis are equipped with lights and possibly retro-reflective tape for visibility and signaling. Each loki has a designated operator that will operate the loki and is responsible for its safe operation. The operator is responsible for inspecting the loki daily, along with the track systems. Workers that may notice a problem with the loki or the track should notify the operator immediately. Because of the unique nature and tight areas of operation in the tunnel, it is important that workers working in and around the loki ensure that they have eye contact with the operator. Signals on the loki or flashlight signals need to be carefully watched by all those working in or around the loki. Never walk between the cars when they are moving or stopped. Sudden movement of the loki could crush or pin someone, causing injury or death. Workers may ride the loki as passengers if the manufacturer has installed appropriate seating. In this case, all safety chains must be in place and seatbelts worn before the loki begins moving. Hands, arms, and feet need to remain inside the cars while the loki is moving. Because of low clearances, the loki may need to slow as it approaches certain areas. In these areas, it may be necessary to lower your head so that you do not strike overhead objects. Because of these tight areas, it may also be necessary to create specific work zones and step up flagging for the loki to ensure safe movement of people and equipment. When stringing overhead cords or running pipe overhead, consider the clearance of workers and equipment in these areas. Additional warning signs or retro-reflective tape may be necessary to warn workers of the potential impact hazard. The shaft that is excavated or sunk for the tunneling operations is for the express purpose of getting materials and equipment down into the tunnels. Generally, workers will have a stair tower, caged ladder, elevator, or man basket to transport them up and down the shaft. Cranes will also be set in place above ground. The cranes are used to hoist materials, equipment, or personnel up and down the shaft for work operations in the tunnel. Cranes will be guided by the top and bottom lander only. When materials are being hoisted into the shaft, all workers should stay clear of overhead loads, and no one should ride the elevator or go up and down ladders or stair towers while a load is in motion. When working at the bottom of the shaft, all workers should look up when nearing or entering the shaft to ensure that there are no loads overhead. All workers are to stay clear of the shaft when loads are being raised or lowered. Shotcrete, concrete, batching operations. In addition to TBM tunneling, there may be other types of manual excavation known as SEM or sequential excavation method. During this phase, there are many hazards to consider, such as the following: ventilation, air quality and gas detection, shoring and ground stabilization, lighting, and water levels. When this type of excavation is used, there will be extensive use of shotcrete equipment that may involve concrete trucks or mini batch plants. Special consideration needs to be taken while doing this work due to decreased visibility, potential silica exposure, rebound from the spraying operations, and noise exposures.